and welcome back to the Distant Brothers podcast. And as you can see, we are pretty much distant now, once again, after last week's episode. Hope everyone's doing well. Thank you for coming back. And how are you, Dev?
Yeah, I'm doing well. How are you
Good,
doing?
yeah. Doing good, thanks. Yeah. Busy, clearly. Life is what it is.
How's life back at work?
It's good. It's good. It's good to be back.
That's good. That's good. So today on the Distant Brothers podcast, we are going to talk about milestones. So Ramsey, can you tell me what you consider to be a milestone?
So a milestone to me is something that you've achieved. I mean, something that you've set a goal for, like in so long, I would like this, and that's what I'd say a milestone is. They can be big as small as you'd like them to be. I think it's down to opinion, isn't it? Whatever you suggest. So I could say, in 6 months' time, I would like to be able to travel the world. And that's quite big. But someone else could be, I'd like to be able to buy myself a car in 6 months' time. There's different things that could be said to be a milestone. I think it's all down to the person. What would you say?
Yeah, that's a good question. What is milestone? Yeah, because I never feel like a milestone. It doesn't sound like what the word is, milestone. If I took a stone and traveled with it for a mile, would that be a milestone? Maybe if I took a boulder for a mile, that would be an accomplishment, a boulder stone. No, not a boulder stone, a mile boulder. And so the milestones are basic. It's just another word for goal, right? So it's having a target and approaching that target, and also I feel like a milestone is usually where you get kind of have an ambition and a dream, and in between you have milestones to say, hey, I've reached this far. So if you have if you're climbing Mount Everest, for example, you have base camp, which is already a kind of milestone because it's already pretty high, but it's not the final destination. So you have a destination which you want to reach, and the milestones are what you have in between, but also still worth celebrating. So I guess that's the way to contextualize it, that people have dreams, and those dreams become destinations, and the milestones are what happen in between. And I think it's important to break down your dreams and your goals into little goals, call them milestones. Otherwise, it doesn't seem possible to reach them because it's such a big goal. But if you break it down, and you see that as the next goalpost, so to speak. So it's about reaching that.
Yeah, that's fair. That's a valid explanation. I quite like that. That's good. What milestones do you believe you've achieved then? Have you looked ahead and been like, back, I've achieved this. I've done what I wanted to do so far. What would you say you've done?
Yeah, I think that might be a bit too broad of a question. Yeah, there's sometimes, when I was at university, I'd have essays to write, and sometimes there's thousands of words to write, and you used to have a deadline, right? Why the deadline? And let's say it was a month from now, or 2 weeks from now, or a week from now, or a few days from now, the deadline, then I wouldn't think I need to write 5,000 words by December. I would think, okay, how many days are there between now and then? And then divide the number of words by how many days there are left. And then that would be broken down to say, I feel like I should do some quick calculations. So it was the 17th, so there's 13, there's 31 days in November? Or is it 30 days? I should be able to look this up pretty quickly. Yeah, there's 30 days, so it'll be 13 days. So let's say let's make it 13,000. If I had 13,000 words to write and I have 13 days, then it's 1,000 words per day. So that's how I see milestones. You have something big, but you break it down so that it looks manageable. And actually, that example might not work because 1,000 words might be a lot for somebody still in one day. I can do it, but I'm a writer, so that's me. But someone who's not used to writing might not be able to write 1,000 words in one day. 1,000 days and 1,000 words. Yeah, so that's an example. Yeah. In terms of what I'm doing now, one big one is with money. That I want to save a year's worth of expenses. So how I calculated that was basically I looked at what I spend things on and what are essentials, and basically took the prices of essentials plus some nice to haves, added those together. So I got my monthly spend. That's to say, how much money would I need to maintain this lifestyle? And then I've times that by 12. Oh, no, times that by 12 to get the year amount. And then based on that, I've been able to calculate, okay, how much money would I be able to afford to save per month in order to figure out how long it would take to get to that number. So now I know if I put this much money aside per month, I will eventually reach that goal. So that's something I've done. What about you?
Well, I'm not sure I've had anything like major. Like I don't know. I don't really have like milestones. I just kind of like get on with things. If I'm honest, I don't know. I don't really set myself a goal because I find if I set myself a goal, I always end up failing and not doing it. So instead of that disappointment of not being able to do it, or I don't set myself a goal, I just do. If that makes sense. So yeah, it makes it easier for me. Although I'd be like, oh, I want to do this, but I don't give myself a time limit because otherwise I probably won't doing it. That's it. Yeah. I mean, I have achieved things. I mean, well, see, when I went to college, I was doing a level 3, and I didn't complete it. At least I didn't complete the second year, and that was my own doing. Really, I chose not to. But then I completed a level 2 apprenticeship, and I passed it all, and I'm quite happy for that. I have a qualification now, and yeah, it makes me happy. I'm set to do another qualification, and hopefully I'm focused enough to do that, and I don't give up. And it's going to be a challenge. It's going to be a big challenge for me personally because I don't write often, or I'm not very academic, and I'm quite a practical person. So I'd rather be doing things, showing you how it's done, rather than writing how it's done and explaining. And yeah, so I've got a challenge ahead of me. We'll see how it goes. Keep you updated, and I'm sure it should be good anyway.
Okay, now I have some questions. Because you said you don't really have any goals, so how do you go about achieving things? Because I feel like I use some kind of goal system in everyday life. For example, if I'm at work and I know I need to get A, B, C, and D done, then I break that down into what each one consists of. And each day I have a list of things which I want to achieve in that day. And then I go through one by one, doing each thing, and I tick them off. And ticking that off just gives me the sense of achievement. And in a way that gives me that motivation to carry on. It's like, oh, if I keep doing this, I can keep going. Yeah, so what's your way of achieving stuff?
So I don't know. I just, like I said, I just do it. I don't think of it as a goal or anything like that. Just get on. Like, for example, when I go to work, I just do it. I'm not like, oh, I need to get this done, I need to get that done. I just do it. I think because I guess it's natural to me now. I don't really think about. I don't know. What's that? I mean, I have goals, I think, but they're probably
But how
bigger goals.
so how does it work? Because I understand just going to work, but so I understand just going to work and that being a natural fit. I also don't plan, I don't put that as a thing to tick off or I commuted to work or whatever. So yeah, there's lots of things you do automatically, like brushing your teeth and stuff. I mean, I don't want to generalize, but yeah, there are things which people just do naturally. If you build a daily habit from a very young age, you don't think about it. But sometimes there are things you want to integrate into your daily life or your work or whatever, right? Or you have some kind of fitness goal, you get a goal. So do you have goals? What are those goals? And how do you go about achieving them? Do you have a plan?
I don't have a plan. I think I have goals. Well, I didn't think about it that much to be like, oh, my goal is to do this. We obviously have a different perspective on things, and I don't see it as goals. I just say, I need to get this done.
But if you can articulate it, if you could articulate it, how could I ask this? So sometimes things I like to say is, okay, where do you see yourself in 5 years' time or 10 years' time? So I'm gonna try and ask these questions. I'm gonna start at 10 years, and then we're gonna work back, and then we're gonna see if we can establish what your goals are in order to articulate them. Okay, first of all, where do you see yourself in 10 years' time?
10 years' time. See, that's too big, man. I don't put a time limit on things. Otherwise, I'll never get it done.
Okay, so if not 10 years, how about 5 years' time? Also,
I don't know, man. This is my point. Like, putting a time limit on things, I think it's quite restrictive.
okay, so if we go back, show the time a bit more. Are there things you want to achieve in the next month?
No. There's nothing major I want to achieve, I don't think.
Okay, it doesn't have to be major. It could be things like this week. For in a day, what I like to do is I like to go to bed knowing I've done something in that day, right? And so to do that, I plan stuff into my day. I have something called a productivity hour. And that productivity hour, I just work on whatever I really want to work on that particular day. And so that's how I go to bed feeling fulfilled. And also in general life, you have different things. Like you on a Saturday, for example, I like to clean my room, and I like to clean other parts of the house too. I like to do groceries, go to the market and stuff. I also want to do something social, and that requires me to kind of, make sure I have time for those things. Like, do you do any kind of time blocking and putting stuff in your calendar, or how does that work?
Yeah, so actually today, for example, is something that I have times for. Like leaving the house for 6 o'clock. It's currently 5:21. And so yeah, that's the time. That's I was putting a restriction on something, um, which like I said, I don't like to do, because all it ever does is makes me feel uh, what's the word? Like anxious. Like, oh, I'm not gonna make it. I'm not gonna have time because put I've set a time limit on myself. So yeah, there's that for an example for today. Um, but say like in the future, like tomorrow, I want to go to the gym, but I haven't got time limit because I know I'll go to the gym. I've got nothing else to do, so I'll be there in the morning if that's a goal. My goal is to be at the gym tomorrow morning. But apart from that, I don't see things as goals. I just see it as I need to do it and get on with it.
A question on that would be, if you say your goal tomorrow is to go to the gym, maybe we talk about a bit more reward systems, right? Because the way I use it is to kind of get a dopamine hit. I make goals, I tick them off, I make them somewhat attainable so I can actually achieve them, or I break them down so they can be achievable. So if you go to the gym tomorrow, how will you feel versus if you don't go to the gym tomorrow after you said you're going to go to the gym tomorrow?
So if I don't go to the gym, I will feel unhappy with myself. But I know I will go to the gym because I said I'm going to do it. So unless something stops me, which I can't, the only way it's going to stop me is if I have an accident on the way to the gym, pretty much, or something serious happens, right? Let's hope it doesn't, right? And but apart from that, and so if I do go, I'll come out and I feel happy for it. I feel strong, feel better. So, and then I'll come home and run it to it and see what happens. But yeah, apart from that, I don't know. I obviously have a different view on it, and I don't. There are things that I definitely want to do. Like I want to drive, but I'm not there yet, and I haven't set myself a time. I haven't been like, oh, by the end of next year, let me do it, because I know it won't happen like that. I've already tried setting myself time limits on. Oh yeah, by then, because if I stuck with it, I'd be driving right now, but I'm not. So it's not going to happen. And no, I don't really know what other goals I have. If I'm honest with you, I just take each day as it is, and I'm when I wake up, I'm happy to wake up, and that's all it is really.
Yeah, funny you say that about the driving thing, because it's also something I thought about, that I haven't learned to drive. And I think when I was 17, I had that as a goal, because that's what most 17-year-olds want to do in the UK. At the time, it didn't seem that reachable because of money and stuff. But now I know if I committed myself to it, I could also maybe by the end of next year be driving. But it's just not high on my priorities. So my question would be is, what are your priorities? Is driving your priority, or do you have other priorities that come before that?
My priorities is just living there. If I'm honest, just enjoying it whilst I can, and not that I'm dying or anything, but I don't know. I think driving is helpful, especially as in our previous podcast episode. we spoke about travel and traveling in the UK. This is quite difficult, and you pretty much need a car to get to a few places that you won't be able to reach by public transport, which are usually the more interesting places to go to. So, yeah, I want to be able to drive, but at the same time, right now, it doesn't seem necessary. But I know once I have it, once I can, it'll be beneficial, especially in these colder days and whatever. It'd be nice just getting a car and put the heating on and driving away without getting cold and being out in the air, because and another thing is as well, the way I see that. So I have a bike at the moment, and that helps me get places, helps me go wherever I wish, and but it seems good enough for me, and at the same time, I can't do my weekly shopping on the bike, so kind of make things a little bit more difficult. And then early mornings, it's cold, but I'm still happy with it. So I'm really pushed myself to, right, let's get some driving started. So I don't know any goals or any priorities. I don't really know what they are, if I'm honest. I don't really sat down and thought about, oh, I need to do this, I need to do that. A lot of things I don't need to do. It's probably just I just want to do it. So apart from getting the food shopping each week, I need to do that. We'll need to make sure I eat right. So that's a priority. That's something that needs to be done. But everything else,
You said you need to eat right. Do you put any planning into what you're actually going to buy when you're at the supermarket? Do you make any kind of list, or do you have any goals in mind? Okay, this week I'm gonna have 5 home cooked meals or anything like that, and then that has to get you to think, okay, I'm gonna cook a bolognese, I'm gonna cook a casserole, cook a risotto, or you get an idea of what dishes you want to make, and then based on those dishes, you go to the supermarket and you buy the ingredients that you need for those. Is that not a thing? Or is it all, how much of your life is spontaneity? I guess that's the question.
everything is spontaneous, mate. I don't go to the shop with a list. I just go to the shop and pick up, right? And usually it's things that are universal in plenty of dishes, so I can use them for one dish, and I can make a completely different dish using some of the items I've already bought, right? So I don't think about, I'm going to make this, I'm going to make that. I think about what I'm going to make on the day of me to make it. If I happen to need anything, I'll just pop to the shop. So I don't have a plan. I don't want to stress my life out. In my opinion, I feel I feel as though if I have all these plans, all these things to do, I'll get too stressed and I'll just be annoyed. I don't want that, man. I want a simple life, easy life. Steady, take it as it comes, one step at a time, type of thing. And see where it goes. There's nothing I need to think about apart from getting to places on time.
But if we go back to this word milestone, right, and the way I contextualized it and defined it at the start of the podcast, we talked about milestones being things between the main goal, right? So that's also a step-by-step system. It's not like you have to be stressed out, because you're not stressed out. For example, let's say you're driving. Let's say you had a car, you were driving, and you were going to a city you've never been to before. Would it be better to drive blindly without there's no signs along the way which might give you an indication, right? There's no anything. You just have to drive and just somehow sends it out without any planning? Or would it be better to use a sat nav or to use some kind of map which will help you get there? Because to me, that's how planning works. It's a case of, this is what we want to achieve. It's a big thing. Let's break it down into all these separate goals. These smaller goals which will lead to the thing. And also on a road trip, you might also stop off at a service station on the way, so you see that as a checkpoint kind of thing. And then you might reward yourself by getting yourself a cup of coffee or so, those kind of things. So, yeah, would you rather drive blindly or with a sat nav? And if it's with a sat nav, why can you not see it in the rest of your life?
Obviously, with a sat nav. Well, for the rest of my life, I don't think I'm blinded. I think I'm just doing what I know I need to do, right? I don't put it in anywhere. I don't write it down. I mean, the only thing I write down is when I'm looking. But apart from that, I don't really write anything down. I'm honest.
It doesn't necessarily have to be written down. It's just you have some reflection, and then you break it. Like, it happens often to me in meditation. It's like I have this thing I want to do, and then it's while I'm meditating that it all comes to me. Okay, this is step by step how I can solve this problem, or how I can achieve this goal. Yeah, and then it's just kind of plugged in. It's like, oh, now I know it. It's there. So it doesn't have to be written down. So some people it helps. Some people like to journal. Some people like to brainstorm. But it doesn't have to be written down. It just getting some clarity on what it is you want to achieve. So if you wanted to be driving, for example, right? Let's stick to that example. The first thing you want to do is, how do you become a driver? Okay, maybe you search literally in Google, how do I become a driver? That is one step of the plan. People might not see it as that, but that's step one. You look into how to become a driver. If you can achieve that, then you can move on to the next one, which is probably finding a driving instructor. You found a driving instructor. Maybe you've asked some friends or family who have learned to drive before. You've asked, okay, how was it learning with this person? And they'll say, I didn't really like them, or I liked them. They got on really well. I passed first time. And then you call that instructor and you say, okay, I want to learn how to drive. I'm looking to do it over this time period. And then they say, this is my availability. And you say, oh yeah, I could do there, and then. But you got to put that in your calendar. You got to commit to those. And then it could also be other steps in between there, because it might be that in order to learn to drive with an instructor, you got to save up some money so you can pay for the lessons, right? And then there's other things. For example, you have your theory test and hazard perception and all these kinds of stuff. I've not learned how to drive, so I don't know exactly all the whole process, but there's different steps there, and each one needs to be taken in order to get your license. And yeah, eventually you do your test. You got to book a test, right? You got to pass that test. Maybe you fail. You got to learn from your mistakes, and you got to plan, okay, how can I address these mistakes? And when you go through that process of addressing those mistakes, and then after that, you maybe pass. And then you have your driver's license, right? And then what do you do with your driving license? You'll maybe want to drive. And then there's going to be another whole process of looking up what's the best car to buy for a first-time car buyer, and how much will it cost to insure that car, and how much will it cost to run. You have to figure out how much money am I willing to spend on driving per month? And based on that, that's all planning. And I can't see how you could do that without planning. And do you not think that's why you're not driving right now? Because you've not thought about, okay, taking these steps.
Maybe I just don't see it as planning. Maybe I just, like I say, I just do. I don't think, I need to plan this. Just do it. I did my theory test. I failed 2 marks. And that's it. I did it once. So I didn't plan to, I don't know. I just like, let me book it. I'll book it. Didn't plan to book it. Well, I did. It's a plan, essentially. Well, I don't see things as a plan. I don't want to. I don't know. If I already know how to do it, I'm just gonna do it. Makes sense.
The ferry would be one of the milestones towards the goal of driving. Do you not agree with that?
I do agree. Yeah, I do agree. But when I'm doing things, I don't see it like that's my point. I'm not saying I don't have any goals or milestones or anything like that. I'm just saying I don't see it. So I'm just kind of I don't know, just go on with it, honestly. No need to overthink it, just do it.
Yeah, let's move on to some more questions. Maybe you can answer them. So, do you have any personal or professional achievement which you're particularly proud of?
The only professional achievement is achieving my level 2 apprenticeship. I don't think I have anything further that I'm particularly proud of or that I have anyway. So yeah, it's that on level 2 chef and by it, mate. I'm honest with you. What about you?
I mean, I said professional, personal. Maybe I can answer both. I think professional is working abroad and doing somewhat okay at it, and then opening my own business. Personally, I think it's probably that the mental health challenges I faced. I think, particularly there was a period of a couple of years where it's not good, and I was so deep in some kind, I guess, like a black hole. Don't know how else to describe it, where I just thought, there's no way I'm climbing out of this. I just thought, this is my life. And I've just been dealt a bad hand. I either got to live with it or, take my life or something. Thankfully, I didn't do the latter. And I think nowadays, most of the time, I'm grateful for life. So I think that's probably the biggest personal achievement I have, that I made it out. I did climb out, even if it didn't feel like it. I could do that. And having some, I don't know. But once I started to feel better, to actually think, okay, let's do something with my life, and doing stuff with my life has changed my my life immensely. So, and that kind of maintains the somewhat good mental health I'm able to experience now, even if it's not like 100%. When is it?
And I think that's pretty deep, but that's a good way to see it, I think.
Don't worry, I have a...
Yeah, maybe it's best if you ask the question, because I don't know what I'm saying. I'm just thinking about time right now, if I'm honest.
So when you achieve something, how do you celebrate?
I'm just happy. If I'm honest with you, just, that's done, fair enough, nice one. I don't know, I don't really don't celebrate as in like, oh, let's have a party. I just, this is good. This is a good part of life right now. I'm enjoying it. Keep it going. Find the next thing to do, I guess. There's no like form of like celebration as in it's noticeable. I'm just happy for what I've done, if I'm honest with you. And there's no way to explain it apart from that. So then, what about you? What do you do?
I would probably just treat myself. Like sometimes it's just buying myself a book or going to watch a film at the cinema or eating out at a restaurant. Those are the kinds of things I do to celebrate, I think. Yeah. Another question. What was the other question? Yeah. So based on your philosophy of life of being 100% spontaneous, how are we able to maintain a podcast?
I say I don't know. I mean, set time and that's it. Aim for that time.
Oh, what are the goals for this podcast? So do you have any goals for this podcast?
So maybe, yeah, to be able to get a good following or some followers along the way, and I think that's the main goal. Sort of. I don't know if it's the main goal. Main goal to be big, to be known, and then the followers say. I think I don't know. We spoke about having 100 followers by the end of this year on YouTube, and 1,000 followers on YouTube by the end of next year. So I think that's a good goal to have. I don't really think about it too much purely because I don't want to overwhelm myself. I don't want what I don't want is to get to the end of the year and there isn't 100 followers, right? Because now I'm going to be sad, right? I'm going to be unhappy. Oh well, that didn't happen, because if it doesn't, even if you put in however much work it takes to do that, and then it doesn't happen, then you're going to be disappointed, right? Or at least I would be anyway. So I try and not put restrictions on it and just say, oh yeah, I would like to be here. If it happens, it happens. If it doesn't, it doesn't. I mean, see where it goes from there, really.
Yeah, I don't know how that could work, right? Because people say things all the time. They're like, oh, I really want this. Or one thing that people say a lot is, if I won the lottery, I would do this. How many of those people actually buy a lottery ticket regularly? Not many. So how are they ever going to win the lottery if they're not buying the ticket? I don't buy lottery tickets, but I don't really have this ambition to win the lottery either. People who win the lottery tend to not keep their money. But yeah, I think with things like this, then you got to make sure that there's got to be a plan there to increase the following, right? There's different steps you need to take. You need to make sure you're posting regularly. You need to make sure the right people are reaching you. And you got to do that by strategizing and putting things into place and making sure that the podcast is of a good quality and we're constantly improving and we're, listening to feedback and looking at analytics and, taking notes. And then based off of that to say, hey, this is what's working or this isn't. If we do more of this, we'll gain more traction. Then it rolls over, right? So one thing we did for the first episode, we said we want to have 20 views on the first episode. So to ensure we did that, we made sure we posted on our social medias. We made little clips and we posted them on there. How many views would we have had if we had just uploaded the podcast without saying anything?
No.
2, probably. 1 from you and one for me, right? So that's wishful thinking. Yeah, wishful thinking is you have a thought, and planning and strategizing is realizing that thought, and saying, oh, I would like this, so I'm actually going to make sure I do this, that, and the other to increase my chances of doing that. And then, and about realism, you can say, because we could have said, let's have 1,000 subscribers by the end of the year. That's quite unrealistic. Like, we'd like 1,000 eventually, but to get that in 2 months is possible. We might go viral, probably not. Got to look at the chances. But 100, that's possible, right? I mean, if we break it down, we could probably get 50 people from each other. Think about how many people we have on our social media. So maybe we have like 300 friends each on social media or something. I don't know. And if we get 10% of those, then that's at least 60. So that's how you think. You think, okay, first of all, you got to work with the people around you. And then, because they're more like, they know you already. They're more likely to invest in you. They're like, oh, he's my friend, or he's my brother, or, that kind of thing. So they give you a chance because they know you already. Would it give you a chance if they didn't know you at all? Chances are very small. So first of all, you got to kind of foster that, right? You got to see, okay, let's get those people in and make sure that we do a good job of entertaining them. Well, I don't know if entertainment is a word, but just keep them engaged enough so that they actually come to a point where it's like, well, actually, I was watching or listening to the episode of The Distant Brothers the other day, and they were talking about this topic. They were talking about goal setting and milestones. And I learned this from it. I thought this was very interesting, the different perspectives they had. I mean, that could be to someone who didn't know us already. And then that thing can roll on. So it's just about being consistent, making good quality, and having some visibility. I think we should work on what we did for the first episode, where we're making these short clips. We're posting it up until the episode. It's definitely something we need to work on. Social media presence also. But also just looking at different things we can do on YouTube which can attract people. For example, the title and the thumbnail. Those things can be improved on. The title is quite generic, I know already. And the thumbnail is just whatever random picture there is. But these are all things we can improve on and can help make people click and listen and give us a chance. So thank you if you are on episode 5 of listening to the Distant Bros podcast. We really appreciate your support. We hope you've been enjoying the podcast. What we would like to say is that next week we are going to have a Q&A podcast. So please comment your questions below and we will answer them in the podcast. And that's going to be our last episode of this series. Then we're going to take a break for a couple of weeks and then we'll be back in December. We'll have a special Christmas podcast. And we'll also be reflecting on this year and looking ahead to next year. And we'll share a bit more of you how this podcast is going to progress into the next year. So thank you for your support. Something we haven't been saying much is that we do have a Patreon. Nobody is on it yet. So if you'd like to be our first Patreon supporter after 5 episodes, for €5 per month, you can support us. We'd really appreciate it. Like I just said, something to improve on our podcast would be quality. We're not making money off this. So if you could help us invest in equipment. Ramsey, for example, is using his phone right now because he doesn't have a laptop. which isn't the best because there's like lots of feedback. I know with an iPhone you can isolate, so it's just your voice, but right now we've just been muting ourselves because every time I'm talking, I can hear it back, and that's not good for the recording. But anyway, I digress. Ramsey, thank you for joining today. Is there anything else you want to say before we finish up? You've got to leave the house soon.
Yeah, just thank you for listening. And if you have made it to episode 5, then fair play. Hopefully things improve as we go along, as we get used to it, because it's quite a big thing. I mean, we both work full time, and Declan has his own business to focus on as well. And, you know, we just doing as much as we can while we can, I guess. But hopefully, you know, once we have a break for 2 weeks, we try and push things a bit more. And but yeah, if you do have any questions, let us know down below. And yeah, can head over to our Instagram at The Distant Brothers, follow our TikTok page, and see what we got available, see what's coming ahead, and we'll keep you all updated there. But thank you for listening, and we hope you're all well.
Yeah, don't forget to leave questions in the comments or message us on one of our social media channels with any questions you'd like us to answer in our next episode next week. And maybe we'll do a live stream. We'll see how it goes, but maybe we'll do it live stream. Okay, see you later, Ramsey. Take care. Bye now.
Be good.